Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Sweet Tips here. Got another batch of carrot scrap that we're going to try to refine. This is all 14K stuff right here. We got 198.8. This is our 10K stuff. And we've got 41.7. 18K stuff. 21.0. So now what I've done is I've determined that I need 317 grams of sterling silver, and I've got that here. It's a little over, but that's okay. Now we'll take this out and then quart this gold. Here we go. Here's the unquarted gold. That's going to be about, I guess, about 4 ounces of pure gold. I'm adding distilled water to the 600 milliliter level. Now I'm adding some nitric acid. I'm going to put it up to about the 1100. Now let's go with 1,000 milliliters here. And that's pretty close to 1100. And we're going to put the lid on this and let it react for a few minutes, just like that. That's not going too fast, so let's go ahead and set this up on some low heat. Here's my delivery device, separatory funnel. I'm going to set up a little bit of a fire and forget rig here, measuring out 200 milliliters of distilled water. We're going to add that to our funnel. Now I've got some nitric acid. And what we'll do is add 200 milliliters of nitric acid to our funnel now, to the water in here. Let me give this a little swirl to mix this up real good in here. Make sure we've got everything mixed well between the acid and the water. Now let's go ahead and insert this thing into the fume hood. Now I'll try to set the rig up so that the delivery tube is down into our reaction, so we can slowly drip this nitric acid in. Here we go. We're going to start dripping a little bit of acid in there, just a little drip, like we do with the gold filled scrap that we work with, and that'll replenish the acid in the reaction vessel there as it boils. Now what I think I'll do is crank the heat up, just let this thing go, set it and forget it. I believe the reaction is complete. I'm going to turn the heat off. Now let's get our delivery apparatus out of here. Pour this solution off into our silver jar. It's going to be loaded with silver. Man, this thing is heavy. Heavy. Oh boy. I don't know if I like the way that looks or not. See the silver forming. It's highly saturated with silver. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like the way this looks. I'm just gonna pull it down off the heat for right now. Oh Lord. Yeah, this is, I may have let this go on too long. I'm I'm just going to set this over here out of the way and allow that to cool down before we try to process it any further. It's full of silver. And if you look down there, it's got some beautiful layering going on, like a parfait. If you look in there, oh yeah, that stuff is still super hot in there. I'm gonna need to let this cool down a little bit before I try to see how it's boiling just from the residual heat of the metal. So I'm gonna have to let this cool down. Can you see that beautiful layering that's occurred there? I've never seen that before. Yeah, it's still boiling just from the heat, the residual heat of the metal that's left down in there. That's very odd. There it goes. It just starts boiling when that water layer on top comes in contact with the metal down below. Now these beakers are supposed to be very heat resistant, but they're not bulletproof. So I'm gonna have to take this slow. I have cracked thick Pyrex beakers in the past. Starting to settle down a little bit. Yeah, I don't like dealing. I think we've got it cooled down enough to where we can dump in some cold water. I don't know what that precipitate is that's formed in there. Oh yeah, it's still red hot on the bottom, man. Oh jeez, there's a solid layer that's formed on the bottom. It's not wanting to break up. I hope I didn't create a bunch of colloidal gold in there. Man. Yeah, this could have been a big mistake here. Caked on the bottom real tough. This ain't no fun. Got about 5 troy ounces of gold in here. Adding some more water. Yeah, I'm breaking the chunks of gold up and releasing fine particles of gold into this solution. This is going to be a nightmare. Just wonderful. I've allowed this to settle for 12 hours. And now what we're going to do is we're going to use our vacuum bottle down here and pull this solution off of these solids. I put an extra fine tip on here. Now we're going to try to get the rest of this out of here without disturbing the solids on the bottom of our beaker. I'm not quite sure what's down in there with our gold. What I think I'm going to do is add some distilled water, and then I'm going to add a little bit more nitric acid just to make sure that we've got all the silver and base metals dissolved out of here, and that might help put some of that precipitate back in solution. Now this is going to just be loads of fun now that I've got that gold in a finely divided state like that. It's in a powder form. It's going to make separating the gold from the silver solution very difficult. Let's go ahead and put this on the heat over here and add some heat. It's come to a nice boil. I'm going to pull it down off the heat now, and we're going to have to let it cool down, settle out, and then we're going to have to keep doing this over and over until we get all of the silver solution off of that gold. Take this down off the heat and let it settle out and cool down. Let's go ahead and get some of our solution into a beaker, and we're going to test and see if we're still showing silver in our solution. Got some hydrochloric acid. If there's silver in here, we'll see a cloud of silver chloride, and you can see there's a ton of silver still in this solution, so we got to continue the water boils. I'm fairly certain we probably would have at least had our first precipitation under our belt. At this point, if I'd have followed the normal protocol and just did my multiple nitric acid boils like I usually do, I'll set this back up on the heat now and continue to do some water boils and get all that silver out of there. I've done 8 or 9 of these water boils. Now what we'll do is pull this down off the heat. It's just got it gently boiling. Let's get in here, get a little bit of the solution into a beaker. I'm going to test for the presence of silver. The solution's colorless, so we should be looking pretty good here. Let's see what we get for silver formation in here. I didn't see a whole lot of anything forming, so it's a safe bet that we probably got all of the silver finally rinsed out of our liquid. I'm going to draw off this last water boil now. These 2 containers represent all of the rinses that we had to do to get all the silver and copper pulled off of this gold. Should be about 5 troy ounces in here. What I'm going to do is pour in some hydrochloric acid now, and we're going to go ahead and try to dissolve this gold now that we've got all the silver. If I pour this acid in here and I see a whole bunch of silver chloride form, then that means our rinses were not that effective. See what happens here. I didn't see a whole bunch of silver chloride, so that's a good thing. Looks pretty smooth. This looks pretty good. I'm going to add a little bit of sulfuric acid to take care of any lead that may be present. Now I'll add some nitric acid. I think what we'll do is we'll start out with about 50 milliliters of nitric acid. That should do it right there. Just gonna add this right on in. And that gold should take off almost immediately. Let's cover this up. I'm going to set this up on the heat. It's actually looking pretty good, considering the mishap that we had with the nitric boils. We'll just let this boil now. This is a little more gold than I'm normally used to working with, and the reaction may have stalled a little bit. So I'm going to pour in about 150 milliliters of hydrochloric acid to freshen the acid up in here. Here you can see there's still quite a bit of gold remaining in the bottom of the beaker. This is 5 troy ounces I usually work with 1.5 to 2 ounces, and this is quite a bit more than I'm used to dealing with, so it's going to take a little longer to get it to dissolve. It looks like there's a lot of gold in there, but there really is not. And so what we're going to do now is add small doses of nitric acid, 0.5 milliliter at a time, about that much, and just drip it in real slow until we get the rest of this gold to go into solution. Alright, I didn't even get all of it in, and you can see it's taken off on me. Okay, this is perfect. I've got just a couple of little bitty pieces of gold left down on the bottom of this beaker. That's okay, I'm not going to go after those. And what that tells me is that all of the available free nitric acid has been consumed by this reaction, so we should not have any excess nitric in our solution. With this much gold, when working with this much gold, just a little bit of excess nitric acid causes big problems when we go to precipitate the gold. So what I think I'm going to do here, I'm exhausted. This has been a trying refining. And I think what I'm going to do is call it right here. We'll call this the 5 troy ounce bar part 1 refine. And we'll pick up. I'm going to go in and get some rest. We'll come out in the morning and pick up right where we left off, right here, with part 2. So this will conclude part 1 of the 5 troy ounce bar refining video series. Thank you for watching.